Hey there. Welcome. We're back. And there we have Mr. Rowland Santos. Rowland, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm really good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You're one of our first guests this year. Thank you for being on
Oh,
with
sweet.
us.
What a pleasure.
Oh,
What a
wow.
privilege.
We've
Thanks
talked
for
about
hosting.
having you on before and just trying to work out the dates and all that. And thank God we're off a little bit, although we're going back next week. And, for our audience, can you tell us a little bit what you do at school and what you've taught and so forth?
Sure, yeah. So I am at Southgate High School along with the amazing Mr. Jacob Aguilar, and I kind of have a hybrid position. It's on paper instructional coach slash coordinator. I'm in the classroom teaching 2 Avid classes, and the rest of the time I am filling in the gaps. I'm doing everything under that bullet point, other responsibilities. So you name it, whatever the need is, I'm usually the person like leading the way with some of these things, whether it's the most recent Winter Boost tutoring program or figuring out the hours for AP tutoring or recruiting for the 8th graders that are coming as 9th graders. The big piece that I work on is technology. So that's the
Mhm.
biggest need. The past 5 years,
Wow.
I've
Five
been
years?
doing,
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
it's been no, more than that. My son's
Really?
6. So I know when he was born, I started as a tech coordinator into instruction coach
Okay.
coordinator. So long story short, I'm a coordinator. I do
A
technology,
little bit
all
of
the needs, a
everything.
little bit of everything. I taught health science, biology,
Wow.
speech. So I've been at it. I just got a 20-year of service certificate
No way. At,
from
at, at same school?
no, not at through
LUSD.
LASD, but I've since 2016.
Really?
No,
20 years?
So
2006, excuse me.
Okay.
now,
So,
Roland, by the way, unfortunately, this happened right before the video started. We have a first in Pod and Deliver. Somebody said to us, I am a fan. I'm a
Really?
fan. That's what Roland just said when
He's
we
the
came
one.
on.
I
Now,
knew we
we don't,
had one. I knew we
we
had
didn't get
one.
it
We've
on
been.
camera, unfortunately, but he did say that. So
I did say it
I
before we
already
hit
like,
record. I'm a huge fan. I love it. I love the dynamics. I love your guys' energy. Different
and
podcasts I've listened to. It's amazing. I love you guys so much.
Oh, that's
I'm huge.
great.
I lost my headset for a little while, but I was listening to you guys during my workouts, so I found it. So I'm back
Okay.
in with my
right
workouts.
on.
Getting you
Oh,
guys
good. Good.
Uh,
I go
you,
ahead.
you mentioned that you teach Avid. Did you say Avid?
Yes.
What is that exactly?
So Avid is the way I like to share it with people that don't know what it um, well, it stands for achievement, individual determination via individual determination. And I kind of share with people that it's basically a class that preps kids for going to college and going into their professional careers, but teaching them all of these amazing strategies, which we do already, but it's kind of like teaching these teaching strategies on steroids, right? So like Socratic seminar, analytical reading, developing a really good public speech, like all the things we do as good teachers, but it's kind of like having all those extra reps. You know what I mean? Like if you're working out, you get that superset in, then you really get the most out of the exercise. You really develop those muscles. So I think that's the best way I can explain it. If you kind of have like a visual, physical sport type of a background, that's what Avid is basically giving these kids supersets of all the cool things that both you guys do in the classroom. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, looking at that, I mean, because I don't think you did Avid last year. This is the first year you're doing it, correct?
Yes, this is the first physical year. So I
Now,
did it. I was in the trenches with you guys doing it virtually.
right.
When
That's what I
we
was going to
went,
ask you. Like virtually, how was your job different last year compared to this year? I mean, I know you do quite a bit on campus, and I know some of the things you do. Believe me, but can you share like what was your life like last year compared to this?
crazy like you guys, just as crazy. So I'm teaching 2 classes, attending all the different meetings we have to attend, whether it's department meeting, faculty meetings. Um, and then on top of it, there's all these different initiatives, different mandates that come from the district last minute that I have to kind of juggle and translate for everybody and look at the budget, kind of create the hours and make it happen, right?
Hmm.
So we just had a ton of that. Like we had a lot of the extra intervention pieces we had to do. on top of like looking at some of the different tech programs, whether it was Nearpod or Schoology, and looking at how can we make this work? Like, how can we make it quick and efficient for you guys, the teachers that are on the front line in the classroom with the kids? How can we make this quick and easy for you guys to learn and incorporate into your classroom? We don't have a lot of time for training. We don't have any of that. So I had to do a lot of that. So I was just juggling teaching the classes and then juggling the different things that the principal was giving me to help kind of get to the faculty and staff, right? So whether it was mainly like the intervention pieces and the extra tutoring, then I'm calling parents to communicate to them what's happening at the school and the different things. So those are a few of the many things that I had to do during that whole, shutdown of schools.
Yeah, it was a crazy time. I mean, I just talking to you, and I always get encouraged when I see you. I don't think I share this with you all the time, but because you're always positive. You're like, hey, how's it going? And where does that come from? That positivity? Where does that come from? How do you stay that? Even like last year, because you were on a few times I was on with meetings and so forth, and I never seen you once say, man, this sucks. This life, I'm just tired of this, or complaining or griping, because we've heard that at schools, right? That's usually a place where you hear it. But how do you stay positive, brother?
You know what? It's funny you mentioned that. A lot of it has just come from the holiday season. A lot of it comes from my faith. There's a lot of things that I've been through, and you had mentioned it before we started recording about my head injury and different things happening. There's certain like different reference points as I have, but at the end of the day, I realized before I became a teacher, I was going to become a youth minister. I was going to the ministry. So I had a deep conviction that, hey, I'm going to be used by God to do something. And I had a natural ability to work with young people, work with kids. I've always been a coach and a youth counselor growing up in college. And then when I became a Christian, I was like, man, how can I be used by God to really help our young people? And I was going to go into youth ministry, but I was kind of waiting for a position to come up. And someone suggested, hey, why don't you go into a credential program and go into teaching? And I thought, man, this is the best thing to being in the ministry. And ever since then, I've always thought, all right, when I'm on this campus, no matter what I'm doing, no matter what title, no matter what situation I'm in, I know this is like this God-sent position I have, especially my position. When I explain to people what I do, like I'm not a teacher, I'm not an administrator, I'm kind of like a hybrid person on campus. And God uses my talents and my abilities in ways I never thought if you were to ask me when I was a credentialman, what I'd be doing. I'm doing these things I never thought I'd be doing, but it's really neat, kind of this faith journey I've been going through. So that's my thing. Like I've always kind of walked on campus going, all right, my prayer, like, God, how can I help somebody? I don't know how this is going to work out today. Here's what I have planned, but what are your fingerprints? Like, what are you going to step me through? How are you going to guide me? Let me just kind of rely on you. And that's how I kind of kept positive throughout the whole pandemic, and how I continue to do it now. The little interactions I have, I'm like, all right, I hope I said something that really helped this kid up, or a faculty member, or whatever it may be. That's just my mindset, my heart when I go onto campus. So
Rowland, it is a seamless transition, isn't it? From youth ministry to teaching, because in youth ministry you learn the psychology of children. Yes. You get to teach often. You learn the dynamics of asking good questions, and you build those muscles, don't you? It is a good transition. It is a good building block to teaching, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes. A lot of the skills that we have as teachers are those skills. If you're in a ministry, you're leading, inspiring, you're connecting, you're figuring out how a kid's wired, like what will help them tick, what helps them, what's their potential. Like you dream for him, you envision for him. To me, it's paramount.
Well, one of the things, right? One of the things that, because I often talk to new teachers, and they'll ask me, how do I become a good teacher? And I go, be a TA first, or before you jump in. You have a disadvantage if you don't understand how kids interact with each other and with you. But that was a lot of that was solved early on when I was in youth ministry, and then as a TA. But if you're not around students, it's hard to learn that. But I really recommend either youth ministry or being a TA, something for a while where you observe a good teacher, you know. So that's a
Right.
thought.
Yeah, I agree completely.
And the kids know if you care about them and if you're there for them and you're, you know, serving them, they just know it. They know your name comes. I haven't shared this with you, but your name comes up every so often. I go, it's funny. He's not even in the classroom and all the kids know him because they go up there to talk to you regarding the technology, but also on, we didn't share this, but you also supervise during lunchtime and so forth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just even talk about that. I mean, do you see that the kids are different this year as you supervise? Is there any type of previous years because they were off like a year and a half? And do you feel like there's a little bit more tension, a little bit more? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but would you say it's the same?
You know what? It's interesting. Like, I don't know. Like, kids are kids. Like, I feel like when I'm out there, they haven't skipped a beat. Like, I think they still want to interact and socialize. In fact, we have to remind them, hey, man, we got to still have some distance and keep our masks. Like, they're in their heart of hearts. They just want to connect and be kids and interact and play and goof off. And so, you know, I haven't seen a ton of difference. You know, I haven't seen a lot that are super cautious or some that are isolating themselves and they want to just be. They want to socialize and catch up from the past year and a half. You know, so
I know that.
I see a huge difference. Yeah, they want to just goof off and be kids. You know,
Oh,
as they should.
They want to socialize because I had some kids the last couple of days of school where really the grades are kind of turned in already. Not kind of, they are. And the kids know that, but they just want to be there with their friends. They just want to, because they're not going to see them for a couple of weeks. And they missed that because they had all last year where they didn't see them. So such an important
And it
part.
was like the last day of school and like every period was like 25, 30. It was like, like, you know, you guys do this. I do this in the class. Maybe you don't, but I'm always like, hey, I'm not going to say it, but here's kind of the schedule. If it were me, like I kind of indirectly kind of throw that out there. And the kids that get it, that have the street smarts are like, oh yeah. The kids that don't get it, the textbook, like really like, oh, they're not really, don't catch into my sarcasm or like kind of underlying message. I'm like, but the kids show up because they want to hang out. You know?
They want to hang out. They just really.
Yeah. So I haven't seen a huge difference, to be honest, when I'm supervising.
But now with your job, not only the technology piece, but everything you do on campus, what's been the most challenging part this year? Or maybe not just this year, but what challenges you to say, hey, this is tough. I need to try to figure this out, or maybe not figure it out.
You know what? I think the biggest thing I'm seeing with my position is the disconnect between the district and the local district, and then what really is happening in the classroom. So I'll see certain initiatives, mandates that come down in an email that land on my desk, and I'm asked to help make this program happen or do these things. And I'm like, man, this is a lot to ask to a teacher that's managing 30 kids, that has grades due in like 2 weeks, that is looking into, you know, creating a different lesson plan and catering to, you know, a diverse group of students, right? So I think the biggest challenge I see is just that disconnect. Like, I don't think people realize, people are out of the classroom, have been out of the classroom for so long, realize that the daily grind and the things that happen in the classroom that make it very difficult to add on something new or something in addition to what great teachers are already doing. So that's challenging for me because I see that happen. I'm the guy that helps make things happen from, you know, the programs and different things happening, bring it into the classroom, introducing to the teachers. And I already know, because I'm teaching already 2 classes, that there's enough going on just in the classroom by itself. But to add something on that is expected from the district is challenging. That's what I see. I'm in the middle of it.
Yeah, I think sometimes that's your gifting though too, is where you're able to explain what those directives are. Sometimes our immediate bosses, they have so much on their plate, as you know, and they work really hard. I mean, I always tell people, this group of people that I work with at school are just some of the hardest workers, but sometimes they're not able to explain it always to their best ability because they're pulled so many different directions. But I see that with you, and that you're able to share that, and I go, okay, I think I got it now. You know, I know people could go to you and hey, what does this mean?
Yeah. I spend a lot of, like, when I get something, as soon as I do my best. I'm like, all right, how am I going to make this like easy to understand and make it efficient and do what I can to make it easy to incorporate into the classroom. So you guys don't have to waste all the time and energy trying to like decipher what, you know, directive or things being expected of you. But yeah, I appreciate you saying that. It's hard, guys.
Yeah.
It's hard what we do, all of us, on all ends,
Yeah, I was just
So,
looking at an article recently. I mean, I'm not sure we'll cover it in Pod and Deliver, but how it's difficult right now for a lot of teachers, and they're looking at other avenues. They're looking at other places because they're like, wow, this is just tough. It's not the same type of work we did a couple of years ago because of more of the directives and all the things that we have to do with the mask and all that. It gets a little
oh, man.
frustrating.
For
Yeah,
me, it's a. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Go on.
Oh, sorry. I just sat in a meeting this morning. It was all about how we're going to respond to going back to school regarding the COVID-19 like expectations, like
Yeah.
the Omicron, all these different things. I'm like, man, what happened to like good old fashioned just teaching? Like, get in the class and have some good conversations.
That's out
like,
the window.
Yeah, right.
We're not doing that anymore, Roland.
No.
More teaching. No. I will say though that I don't know if it's happening at LUSD, but we can no longer at my school wear cloth masks. We have to wear surgical masks, and they're being issued by the school, so that's good. We don't have to go hunting for them. And I looked at Amazon; they're all sold out. So, but let me ask you this question because I noticed, at least in my world, that is still going up and up. Wearing the masks, vaccinations, that keeps increasing the expectations there. But I noticed subtly that the teaching aspect demands are not as much. And I'll give you a real specific example of what I mean. But they asked me for my finals, as they always do, but I didn't turn them in until actually I was late. I was very, very late because I was still wrestling, but I never got any warning. I never got a concerned follow-up. I am convinced I might not have ever had to turn in a final, and they still wouldn't have said anything to me. So that's just one example. I feel like there's been a lot, like lax a little bit on the grading, on the teaching, like ease up a little bit. Is that your experience too, or no? Either one of you?
I would say real quick, and you could answer, Roland, is that I feel like there's so many more like things that are like more important. Like, you kind of prioritize what's more important. And at one time they might say, hey, it'd be great to have, make sure you guys have finals. And now it's kind of like, well, are you doing one? If you are, here's a schedule, and provide that. But not, I feel like there's things that were important at one time. They're not as important this year because of the health piece. Do you feel the same way?
I would echo that too. I think the same thing too. If we had the time and energy, we would have deeper discussions about the content, how we're teaching, but we're getting these emails about, hey, get tested. Hey, do this, contact this. Right. So it's happening to teachers and administrators and coordinators like me to where it's like, all right, it's the last thing we're thinking about.
Yeah.
There's a kid, one of my, just as we're talking, I thought about this kid. I think any other year, I probably would have given him an F, but because of the very minimal stuff he did, but he was gone for so long because he was sick with COVID. How do I justify giving him an F? I can't. And if somebody were to audit my books and ask for his work, it's never happened. I don't think it'll ever happen, but I would say he didn't turn. But look at his attendance and the excuse he has, justified. What do you say to that? It's a different kind of experience we're going through.
I think so. I think you have to look at it, each case. And I know that we've talked about it, right, Roland, in our district. I know Ruben's school has dealt with this like standard-based grading now. I think we're not calling it that, but we're calling it's similar to that. Mastery grading and all that. So that has to come and play. And there's not, there's a lot to that. I mean, it's debatable on some of the pieces, but the reality is our kids are at a different situation. They're having to deal with things that we didn't have to deal with when we were in high school. Can you imagine? I mean, this would have flipped me out not to be with my friends or not to be able to be in class like we did in the past. So I think we have to be sensitive to that. And when we do our grading, we have to put that all in account. These kids that have gone through a lot. So
I agree completely. I had two different students in my class and got an email from the attendance coordinator and shared about a close family member passing, like different things happening. I just thought, oh my, like there are a lot of things that, And a lot of my students, you know, they're not as expressive and assertive as you'd want to be, especially with situations like this. They're so sensitive about like personal things happen in their families, and interactions and experiences they've had with COVID-19. So I've had these moments where I'm like, man, you really do have to consider and have that grace, and you know, really thinking through their situations. And
Oh,
like
for
you said,
sure.
you know.
Yeah, for
So,
sure, for sure. You know,
yeah.
I'm a little weary of saying the next thing because Ruben's gonna jump on me. Watch, you'll see. What?
Watch how he defines what jump on is.
You'll see right now.
I might ask a question, and to him later, he'll be go, "You were so hard on me, Ruben."
Okay, I'm gonna go right to it then. I'm gonna go right to it. Here we go. You look like you look great. You look healthy. And we talked about how you had some health issues a few years ago. And what do you do to say, now, I will say this, Ruben, just because I want to say something before you start saying something. I've been riding my bike lately. I have a stationary bike. Okay. And I'm trying to do it 3 or 4 times a week. I've been doing it for the last 2 weeks, 3 to 4 times a week. And I know I have a lot way to go, Rowland, but tell us what you do. And why is it important to stay healthy? I mean, at this time, because believe me, we could blow up the other way. And I know I have, Ruben, but I'm trying to do it. So anyway, Rowland, I did like a self, like, what do you call it when you know, a preemptive strike before I got it.
But it's funny you bring that up. Like, along with probably all of us, I gained almost 10 pounds.
No way. Did
you?
you?
I'm serious. Yeah, man. Okay, man, I went through my moments, man. I got super, I know earlier we were talking about I'm super positive and I have very optimistic, but man, I have my moments where I was just like questioning what I'm doing, like, what is this? And I just gained some weight. I wasn't as active. I went through my mental struggles, and so I put on a little bit of weight, but overall, like, just to respond to your question, I grew up with a background with health and fitness. I grew up doing martial arts. I was a small kid growing up, and my parents were like, man, you need to learn to defend yourself, because if you don't, you're going to get beat up and bullied all the time. And I have 2 older brothers, and I'm the youngest of 4. So I had to learn how to fight. I had to learn how to do it. So I was in martial arts like 1st grade and on. And so I did a lot of that growing up. So I have a couple black belts. I do all those things. So
I did not know that. Wow. I'm not gonna mess with you. That's for sure. Go ahead.
And I fell in love with just martial arts and being healthy and fit. And in college, to get me through college, I was a personal trainer. So in between classes, with my martial arts background, and I got certified to be a trainer. So I learned all that. So to get me through college and pay tuition and keep up with paying for books and everything we had to take care of during college, I was a trainer in between classes, and I taught Muay Thai kickboxing classes on top of being a trainer. So it's kind of ingrained in me. Like, it's one of those things, you know, some people grow up in a soccer family or football. I just grew up in martial arts and health and fitness. It's kind of ingrained. So it's just a part of me. It's very habitual for me. So I'm up at 4:30, 4:45, and I'm
really?
I get up super early. I got.
Do you have
kiddos,
your own little home gym, or you go out and do it?
During the pandemic, I had my wife helped me build a pull-up bar in the backyard. I've got some dumbbells, and I just do my home workouts, and I do my runs, and right now I do jiu-jitsu twice a week with my son's martial arts school. But it's one of those things. It's like brushing your teeth. It's a habit. So I'm used to getting up at 4:30, 4:45. I'm either going for a run or getting the kids' stuff ready, and then I go back and do a quick little pull-up workout, and then I'm back in. So I work out pretty much every day, and it's just built into me. And that's been years. I'm talking years.
I think it's a good plan to wake up that early, and I would like to share, since you both shared what you did. And I don't know why I would jump on you for asking that question, Jake, but maybe that's
I don't know. I mean, I have some
alternate
deep issues.
I'm not privy to, but what I would like to share, I like you getting up early in the morning. It's a good strategy for life, and then accomplishing everything you need to accomplish before school. Once everything else is gravy, and you just go to work and then play with the kids after you get home. I will say that I was just thinking about this today, that when I'm going to prescribe, I'm not prescribing this, by the way. People don't like when I say this, it's not a prescription. I'm just telling you what I do, and it's benefited me. But I used to, right around 3 o'clock, I had this dip, which people used to tell me, well, that's just how it is. 3 o'clock rolls and you lose your energy. And what I used to do is at 3:30, 3:45 when I'd leave work, I I would go to the McDonald's and I'd get a sundae because I thought that was healthy. No, I didn't think it was healthy, but I thought, well, hey, boost my energy. I can't imagine ever doing that now. It's like, what? Anyway.
Was it for the sugar high? Like the sugar high to get you back up?
Maybe that, yeah. That was the thought. It was ridiculous. Because what it does is it boosts it raises your insulin. It's a bad move. Anyway, I don't want to get into all that. But now, here's what I do. I don't eat during my day. And again, it's not a prescription, but for me, I have energy all day now. Now this is just during the week. On the weekends, I don't do that. But I had a lot of good health outcomes from that, and I have energy way past 3:00. So we all are doing something, and that's important,
Yeah, and I think that's true. But I think if we all have something we're doing to keep ourselves healthy and to keep ourselves going, and like you, I mean, Rowland, man, you get up early to do all those exercises, and you see the difference. But you said you did that as a young man, and you were a trainer and so forth. So
yeah, well, I have a lot of like background knowledge in life. Like I've tried every diet out there. Every strategy, every principle, I've gone through it. So I if I were to say, hey, health and fitness advice, like do what works for you. Like, hey, if you can do the fasting thing, if you can do the counting calorie things, if you can do the keto, like you just have to find the groove.
That's true.
And then go with it, And then it depends on your goals too. Like back in the day, I was trying to get down to like 3% body fat, and I was super competitive in martial arts. But now I'm 45. I got kids. I'm just trying to stay, and keep up with my kids. So I have different goals. So my workout times, my diets, and things just change and adjust as we.
And you have 3 kids, right?
I have 2.
2. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to one up you there. Wow. So that's a lot. So that's a lot of energy just even keeping up with them. But and they're at an age where they're, like you said, they're already doing they're in martial arts and so forth. So
we're doing all kids active. My son of all things to do in Southern California, he's part of an ice hockey league.
Really?
He does jiu-jitsu once a week. My daughter she did ballet. She did ballet for a little bit. But yeah, we're super active with enriching our kids' lives and doing things with them in community and
that's great.
So yeah, we have busy schedules. We try to find a healthy rhythm, but yeah, we're busy.
Oh yeah.
Just like all of us educators.
You know what? Going back to that as educators, has there been somebody in your life that gave you some piece of advice to help you get out? Because you're doing something different than most people. You're in the classroom, but you're also outside. You're also working with admin to facilitate, and you do PD and all that. Has there been somebody in your life where that giving you some piece of advice that's really helped you in your work?
You know what? There's a number of faculty members. I can think of one, like right off the top of my head. Miss Murillo, man, all-star MVP. I mean, English teacher. I don't know how many years she's had, but ever since I came to Southgate, she's always been someone that's really kind of guided me and has always just modeled how to be with the kids, how to be with the faculty, kind of the overall, just overall career of an educator. And on top of it, she's always been on the cutting edge, and she's always encouraging to be on the cutting edge. And her writing, the different things that she does in English. So I always go to her for different advice and ideas on how to incorporate different English lessons and writing lessons. She always has some of the best lessons. So her of many, I'd say she's the first one I thought of when you just asked that question. She has really guided me overall in my career, and especially with the writing with our kids.
How does
huge that they need?
How does one stay on the cutting edge?
For her, I'm not sure for her, but for me, I'm always looking at the younger teachers and the teachers that are kind of on it, and I'm always like, hey, can I come by and just kind of hang out and watch? I have podcasts, I read different things, but for me, what helps me is just walking around campus, interacting. I know pretty much all the teachers, and I get a sense of what they're good at and what their gifts are, and I love just interacting with. So I'll go and just talk to teachers, especially the young teachers, like what they're doing.
Yeah, you said that with the young teachers. I've had some experiences recently with young teachers, and they always blow me away because they're working it too. They want to get better. I'm like, man, I want to have that zeal as well. I don't want to lose that zeal. Actually, I really believe that when someone really does lose it, maybe they shouldn't be doing it anymore. But at least the hunger to get better, and because I'm not there yet, but I'm still working at it, and I think that means something for to be in the cutting edge, right? To be somebody who's continuing working at it. So, but I go ahead.
No, I was just it's so impressive, like the things that these young teachers are coming up with, and I'm like, oh man, it's easy to drift and get into that kind of comfortable, complacent way of teaching, you know.
And doing your same old things you did, and some of that stuff's good, you know. Keep it
somewhere. Let me just do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that Miss Maria told me, she goes, you know what I do is I don't save my lessons. I go, what? You don't save your lessons? She goes, I really don't save my lessons. I keep the ones that work really well, and the rest of them I just discard. And so she's always refreshing her lessons. I thought that was smart. Really neat. I was like, oh, that's really cool. She's always creating new lessons as an old teacher.
Do you ever get to the point where you see a lesson coming up and you just say, I don't want to do it because I'm sick of it? Like, and the kids might not be sick of it because they've never had you before, but to me, and I don't know, it's just a thing maybe with me, but I'll look at that as a warning to not do it that way, because if it's not meaningful to me anymore, it probably won't be to them either. Does that resonate? Or?
Oh yeah, that totally resonates. I always feel like, oh man, I've done this so many times. You can tell kids pick up on it real quick, your energy level and your motive and where it's at. So I'm like, oh man, I just gotta keep myself from that happening. But yeah, I relate, Ruben, big time with that.
You know, one of my one of my mentors, and I would like to have her on here one of these days, Dina Wu. Now, she said that I'll never forget her saying this to me. She's been in the middle of a lesson, in the middle of it, and she goes, you know what, this lesson's not working. I'm gonna drop it. And she's dropped it right in the middle of it.
Whoa.
And I thought, now I've never done that before, but that's always stayed in the back of my mind, because I thought that takes a lot of humility in a way. That's edgy, because now you have to shift gears and think on your feet and be willing to eat crow in a way. This stinks. My lesson stinks, everybody. Let's move on to something
so
else.
she tells them that's the heavy part. So I've done that sometimes where it's totally stinking, and I go, okay, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to move this way, but I don't tell them, because then I feel like, but that's big of her to be honest and just say, hey, this stinks.
What it did when she told me that, what it did is it forced me to ask myself questions at the end of each lesson. Why was this effective? Was it? What can I change? To keep asking myself, because she was doing that anyway.
That's good. Hey, Rowland.
I like that too. I like that because I do that. I haven't done that, but I like to make mistakes and just tell kids, man, I'm far from perfect, guys. Like sometimes I will do things like, whether it's like, all right, I'm going to try to teach these kids a little bit easier how to write this or write this writing piece. And I'll purposely wrestle so they see me wrestle, so they know that it's okay to wrestle with it. Like, I don't know. And I tell them, guys, like, I'm doing this because I want you to know that this isn't going to be easy. I'm going to model it not being easy. You guys get me? So sometimes I'll do that, and I feel like it's okay. The kids tell me at the end, I was like, man, that was good. That was good, Santo, that you were able to see, like experience that.
Yeah, I think they like us being transparent with them and being honest with them, because we're humans, right? I mean, I know a lot of times if I see them outside of school, they get blown away. Like, what are you doing at the store? I go, I go to the store, right? Right? But
Jake teaches aliens from another planet who don't know that humans go to the market.
They don't. Well, they know we go to markets, but they just can't. They don't see us in that. You know what I'm talking about, right, Rowland? I mean, they don't see us in that arena. And then when you're there, they're like, "What are you doing?" I mean, that's happened to me a couple of times, at least. Maybe I'm the only one, but now I lost my train of thought. Let's move over, and I just want to share just a couple more things with you, Rowland, like regarding. We always ask, and Ruben and I have read a few books this year regarding some of the recommendations of our guests, and we're always looking for some good books, or even books that you've used that have inspired you in your teaching. Is there anything out there that has really helped you out a lot, and can you share that with us?
Yeah. You know what? I don't remember if this was an audio book. I just listened to a bunch of her TED Talks, but there was this book called 5 Second Rule by I think it's Mel Robbins, 5 Second Rule. Okay. And the premise is that, hey, it's a lot of just brain science and how our our brain works, right? All the chemical reactions in our brain, and it just takes 5 seconds to count us down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, to like talking ourselves out of doing something. You know what I mean? Like, all right, the alarm goes off, 5, 4, 3, 2, get up. You know what I mean? Oh, I got to go work out, or I got to deny myself and just push through this thing I don't want to do. It takes like that 5 seconds just to just decide to do it. That was a huge one that really kind of shifted my mindset. The other one that I read the past year was a book by David Goggins. I don't know if you've heard of David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me.
No.
That's a good one. So him, and then there's one more I can think of, Can't Hurt Me, and they kind of have the same.
Is Goggins kind of the same type of idea, or is it a different type of?
David Goggins talks about like kind of the same thing, but he talks a lot about kind of our past and how our past ends up creating like our present, and how our mindset and our frame of mind, and how we have these thoughts in our head of who we should be now based on our past. And he goes into like this whole thing where he went through a lot growing up, but he overcame everything, and now he's just kind of he learned. He had like all these different disabilities growing up, but he ended up going into the Navy SEALs and accomplishing all these things within the military, like doing this 100-miler. Like his book, along with The War in Your Mind, Greg Rochelle, those are two books that I read that really help shift your mind. And I like those two books because for me, growing up and being an educator, I always felt like I was kind of an underdog. Like I didn't feel like I was the smartest kid, and I always felt like I was a minority in Washington State. I was like the only Filipino kid in this whole school. I felt like the city some days, right? So I always felt like I was just an underdog. I wasn't smart enough. I didn't have it. And the only thing that kind of kept me above float was just my physical ability, like the whole martial arts. That's where all the martial arts things. But my wife had always told me, look, like it's more than your physical ability. You have a lot of intellect within you, but you just have to tap into that. And both those books are about that, just tapping into our potential and who we can become. But it's all in our brains. It's all in our minds. And we talk ourselves out of that all the time.
Would you say the Goggins book is related to this type of philosophy that your past experience can't inform your present?
Yes.
Or, right? Because I've read something like that before, and that you have a lot more power than you think you do. And your past has way less power than you think it does.
Exactly. That's exactly the premise of the book. Like,
okay.
I mean, if you read different studies and different articles about like our brain and kind of our upbringing, our environment, like you just have a set mindset on who you're going to end up being, whether you're going to be rich, whether you're going to be poor, you're going to be smart, you're not going to be smart, successful, not successful, based on like how we're brought up. But his book just talks about, man, it doesn't matter. You can end up becoming whoever you want to be. And I feel like that's what I love about the books I've read and how I approach things in the classroom, and help try to pass on to my students. Because I feel like I'm a living testament of that. Because I didn't see myself being someone successful in education and getting a master's and degrees. I thought I was just gonna live kind of this kind of mediocre life and get by with my physical abilities, but it's a whole different life that I thought I'd be living.
Oh, wow.
So, anyway.
I don't see Santos and mediocre together. That's for sure. I'm going to ask you a question just real quick, because I know you like podcasts. I mean, and I'm always trying to find fun podcasts or interesting or intellectual podcasts that kind of stimulate my, and Ruben does too. Is there a podcast you just like to show, hey, this is something you got to kind of check out?
Yeah, you know what? I have one I listen to every Monday called every Monday, and then on Thursdays a new one comes out, a new episode, Dad Tired. And so it's called Dad Tired. And I've been listening to it for the past like 2 years. And it's a faith-based podcast for dads that are just trying to be the best. The whole theme of that podcast, hey man, we're just broken dudes trying to be like Jesus. And I love it. It's real. He interviews some of the coolest people.
Dad Tired.
Dad Tired. A lot of the reads that I have are from that podcast. And the other one is the Greg Rochelle podcast on leadership. I love his stuff. Always just trying to better ourselves and be a great leader. So those are two I can think of right off the top that I have on my go-to podcast. But I've added you guys too, just so you know.
Nice. Now, really with the last questions I have, and Ruben, you could add it if you like, but we are at the end of the NFL football season, and you and I have talked a little bit about the Seahawks because you're from Washington. Okay, you're the only Filipino from Washington, as that you just shared with me. So I might be reporting you in a moment. No, but that being said, I mean, we know they're gone, but do you have like a little prediction for us for the end of the season? Who might be the last team standing?
I don't know. You know what?
After your team's gone, you're done, huh?
I kind of stopped keeping up, but then I wanted to know kind of the playoff lineup, and I was trying to. My son's really into kind of keeping up with the score, stuff like that. You know what? As much as I didn't like Tom Brady for what happened in the Super Bowl back, I think it was in the Seahawks. I think it was 2015. But what he did to go to the Buccaneers and do what he did, I thought that was really neat. So it'd be kind of cool to see the Buccaneers go. I think that'd be neat. In terms of the NFC side, I don't know, who's gonna go. Maybe the Cardinals will go if they're healthy, if they're up and going. I'm not sure, but I want to see Miami and the Buccaneers. The Dolphins and Buccaneers go.
Dolphins.
I like the Dolphins quarterback, but they ended up making it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Here's the Cardinals.
That NFC West is really fun for me because, I mean, the Seahawks are in last place they're the best last place team around. I mean, that's a pretty decent team.
Way to pick them, Rowland.
Every team is good in that division, and it's been a fun ride looking at that. But I'm holding out hope for Rams Raiders. That's me.
We'll see. You know what? That would be fun too.
That
would be fun too.
I'd watch it.
Really fun.
It would be. Well, listen, thank you for being with us and spending time with us these few days before our reporting date. And and I pray that you have a wonderful semester. And I know I'll definitely see you on campus. And Ruben, hopefully we'll get a time where we get to see each other in person. But
yeah, sounds good.
But
man,
thank
you guys for having me. What a treat. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you guys doing this. And man, what an honor and privilege to be a part of this. If there's any way I can help out, if you want to go more deep with health and fitness, I could give you a whole breakdown of what could work and things like that. If there's other things you feel like I'd be helpful with,
wow.
I'm happy to help. Let me know.
We will. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Roland, and thank you for the kind words. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Happy New Year to you both. Thank you so much.
All right. Happy New Year, guys. We'll see you around.
Bye-bye. Bye.